Hey guys, Jengar here. Welcome to today's realistic review in which we are taking a look at the F-80A-5 sitting at 7.0 battle rating. This is an awesome plane. This is, well, they don't call it a shooting star for nothing. It is a star. I think this is one of the best planes to start your jet experience with. As I said, it might be the best plane as your first jet, to have it as your first jet. If you're going for that. If you are used to props and you have several nations and you have to make a decision on which jet you want to go for first, then this one should definitely be in the equation, because this is an awesome jet that can do a little bit of everything. It can turn fight quite well when it comes to the other jets at this battle rating. It has decent speed, although it's definitely not the fastest. It is decent speed, it has some decent performance. It has 650 cals, which is nothing to write home about, but still it is decent firepower. And it's just a plane that can energy fight a little bit, can boom and zoom a little bit, and it can definitely turn fight a little bit as well compared to the other jets. It is very maneuverable for the battle rating, and thus it's very forgiving for making a mistake or two, which is easy to do when you're used to jets and when you're used to props, sorry, and when you start flying jets, because the gameplay is different, especially in the beginning when you don't know your opponent that well yet, you don't know what you're capable of, and the combat is just taking place at much higher speeds. The aiming is different, you gotta lead much more to get the guns on target at the higher speeds, and all that makes for different gameplay. In the beginning you definitely want to focus on boom and run, which is that you have a lot of speed, build up your speed, build up a good energy position, and then you start to make boom runs, and after that you don't zoom immediately into the vertical, but you extend first. With the speed in jets, it makes you almost untouchable when you keep your speed up high, and there's enough beginners at this battle rating that you'll have good results when it comes to that with conservative gameplay in the beginning. But the F-80 is definitely capable of less than conservative gameplay, because it's so maneuverable, because you can escape in a pickle. I mean, usually if you use your speed, it's very dangerous in planes, because other planes at speed can easily dominate you then, but this plane is so maneuverable that it is very capable of reversing situations and stuff like that. In the beginning you don't want to focus on that, and you might not have the skills yet to make that work, but all in all, man, this plane is very nice to fly. It gives you a lot of options, and but you still got to use your brain in jet gameplay. That you will see that in this first match as well, where my team got destroyed and we managed to turn it around with a couple of guys. It will be a 1 or 2 versus many, and it was a joy to fly with this guy. It was a nice cooperation, and nice to see somebody else hanging in there, because by myself I would not have made it, but with the help of this guy who is now on the airfield, it is definitely gonna be an interesting match. Well, I don't want to spoil anything more, but yeah, you'll see. But this plane, I highly recommend it as your first jet. If you have to choose something for a first jet and America is in your options, then go for this jet, man, because this is the ultimate first jet to play. This plane has an air brake which functions very nicely, and you know, it really slows her down, so it's very good to make other planes overshoot. It doesn't have an afterburner, of course. This is one of the earlier jets, so you don't have that. You don't have war emergency power or you know, afterburner in the later echelons of jets, as we call it. The maximum speed in this plane at sea level is 875 kilometers an hour. At 4,500 meters this is 686, and at 6,500 meters you can take her up to 602. These speeds are in indicated airspeed without Mach. Top speed in a dive in the F-80 is 940 before she redlines, and over 1,000 before she rips apart. Now, I crashed her into the ocean a couple of times after diving down from high altitudes, 8K, 9K, those sort of altitudes, which usually you don't get to, and it is just very difficult to rip this plane. I didn't succeed. I'm sure there's a rip speed somewhere, but I was done testing after 3 tries. I didn't get it to rip in a dive. without making high G turns or anything. Just in a dive without doing anything crazy, this plane it doesn't rip in a dive. The control stiffening does start at around 550 for the ailerons, and it does you get a little tick in the aileron compression every 100 kilometers an hour or something. So at 550, 650, 750 you'll notice her slow down in the roll rate, and it is what it is, man. It's not the best roller at high speeds from 750 onwards, but not many of the planes at this battle rating are much better than this plane, so it's not that much of a downside anyway when it comes to that. Of course there's better rollers, but at the high speeds there is in compression there's not too much difference when it comes to these early 7.0 jets. The stall speed in this plane lies around 160 kilometers an hour, which is average. Firepower is also average with 6 12.7mm M2 Browning machine guns with 300 rounds per gun, which is very good ammo load, although, you know, when you get used to the aiming at this BR, at these speeds, it might not be as much as you're used to in your comfortable prop speeds, 300, 400, 500, 600 kilometers an hour. But you know, some of this range of course is also true in jets. You don't always fly 850, but those higher speeds will definitely well, it will just train your reflexes a little bit, because the aim is different and you gotta take a little bit more lead there. There is some ground attack options in this plane as well. You've got 2 1,000-pound bombs that you can equip, or you can equip the plane with 8 HVAR rockets, which does make you capable of, with the 50 cals as well and the ammo there, to do quite a bit of strafing on soft targets and on some hard targets, of course, with that ordnance. Now, the performance in this plane is alright. You have acceleration in a straight line is decent. In a dive it's good. The initial acceleration isn't that great, but sustained acceleration is a little bit better in a straight line, especially on the lower altitudes, let's say below 3000 meters. Energy retention in the horizontal is very good, and in the vertical it's good. It does lose a little bit of speed in the vertical, and she is not the most excellently powered plane out there, but she's definitely not underpowered. Let's say it lies more into the average range what you expect from a 7.0 plane with the early jet engines and stuff like that. This is quite decent when it comes to the plane and how she's set up. Very enjoyable to fly. In a straight line she holds her speed very well. Don't move too much, and you'll be able to hold on to your speed for quite a bit. And if you do get into a pickle with planes behind you that are faster, you have the excellent maneuverability, the nice roll rate, and the turn time to make people overshoot quite easily, and those things can be very satisfying as well. Now, the climb rate in this plane is decent. She works best well with picking up some speed and then zoom climbing up at a decent angle, and then doing that again. You don't want to go as you go in props at a certain speed like 280 or 300 kilometers an hour and then just climb. With many of the jets it's true that zoom climbing works better than your steady speed climbing. Turn time in the plane is good, very good with flaps. The flaps only rip off at 635 kilometers an hour. Now mind you, this is against jets, other jets. Very good turn time with flaps. Against props you will often be outturned, although against some of the stiffer props this plane can outturn them as well. But if you get into a down tier to 6.0, you will have moments where you fly props and most of the props can outturn you. So keep that in mind, because you know it is a jet, and usually jets, although this one is quite maneuverable I have to say, but usually jets are not that maneuverable when it comes to that. Roll rate in the plane is good, as I said. Maneuverability overall is good to very good. You do have overheating in this plane at 100% output. You have some overheating there, and if you If you keep that up, you can cook the engine. So you got to be careful there. It does cool off quickly at 95, 94%. So yeah, it's not a problem. It is very easily managed in this plane. Durability in the plane is decent to good. It can take a good bit of damage and still fly well with some damage. Some yellow damage on one of the wings is not too much of a problem. But yeah, she's alright when it comes to that. Quite sturdy. Repair cost in the plane is 11,986 silver lions, which is alright. I mean, we get into the jet age now. There is higher repair costs here. Many planes are above 10k, so yeah, it's alright, this repair cost. The rewards have been set straight since the changes they made to the economy, with an RP modifier of 380% with a 1.9 multiplier, and for the Silver Lions a 480% modifier with a 3.2 multiplier. Now many of the competitive 7.0 planes are the same, but there are some differences. There is still some differences out there where they try to you know, balance some of the better 7.0 planes with some lower rewards out there, like the SK60 for example from the Swedish line, which has a different reward system compared to this. I would say then that this is average what this plane has, because most planes have this, but there's definitely some planes that are still different, despite the fact that they would you know, make it equal across the board, which isn't the case. There are some planes that still have some differences in there. Well, as I said, man, the plane is capable of all the roles, so it's more or less a jack of all trades, and it does all those trades quite well. She does shine though, I have to say. I mean, as a jet, she does shine in maneuverability, so maybe that is her best role to play, right? I mean, she does shine there. She's better than pretty much anything when it comes to 7.0 battle rating. But then of course you have the down tiers to 6.0 and you'll face props that have better turn capability than you most often. There are some very stiff boom and zoomers that this plane can outturn, but still, you know, you gotta, it's a general rule you gotta keep in mind, that you can outturn all the jets but you can outspeed all the props. If you keep that general rule of thumb in mind for this plane, then you will be very successful in this plane. She's quite awesome, and the revisit that I had in this plane was just very enjoyable. I had not flown jets for a long time, and I had immediate success in this plane. Of course, this battle rating still is very much prop-like. You still have, you still don't have the missiles. This is outside of the missile age, so you will not be facing anything like that, which is good. I mean, a seasoned build for that. I had some trouble with aiming here and there because the speeds are just different. Got to give a little bit more lead, and all in all, it was a nice homecoming to the rank 5, I have to say. I didn't expect it to go this smoothly, but it is mainly due to the plane as well. I mean, I'm rusty when it comes to jet gameplay, but not as rusty, I guess. And there's many people that are starting, as I said. You will find experienced pilots in all ranges. Not all of them are flying 10.0, 11.0 or top tier. There is still many people enjoying their favorite planes at all BR, so you don't only face inexperienced pilots. And the F-80A-5 is a plane that you can take out of when you come back into a range like the 7.0 planes. It is such a joy to fly and then just make your return into jets. I was made very enthusiastic by flying this plane, and yeah, I can definitely recommend her. You can fly all the tactical roles that you want to fly: boom and zooming, energy fighting, turn fighting. You can do it all in this plane. You can ground pound. He's capable of multiple game modes, ground RB, naval. You can do everything in this plane. Can take your rockets. You go ground pounding. So there's a lot of options in this plane. He's amazing in the air. I would say there's no reason for you to go ground pounding in this thing. Maybe when she's stock, as the performance is a little bit less there, but I mean, I wouldn't recommend it. I would just go for air-to-air combat and get used to the gameplay and get your experience in that way. It's an awesome plane, and I was very, very happy to get back to the rank 5, man. This was a very joyful experience for me. Hey guys, so here we are after the match. This plane, man, the A5 Shooting Star, wonderful jet. It is one of the, if not the best starter jet that you can take out. I mean, seriously, this plane, it just gives you a wonderful entrance into the jet age. It is very easy to transition between the roles. Her performance is decent. She can turn well. She isn't the fastest plane, but she's also not the slowest plane. So she's very forgiving when it comes to your first jet. It doesn't have insane firepower, so you have the same general setup as most US later props with 650 cals. This one has them in the nose, so it's very centralized firepower, but that might be a downside, as it doesn't give huge explosions. But if you get a sustained burst on a target, you still get those kills. And this plane, when it comes to performance and what you can do with the plane, how she competes against other 7.0 planes, she just does very well. And then when you start flying, you'll fall in love with the rank 5s, man. It's a lovely part of the jet age. I don't like missile thunder too much, especially close to top tier. With at any moment, at any day, most of the planes fly 4 to 6 missiles, and you just have a general 10 to 15 missiles flying through the air at any set time, and you might be hit by any of them. It's not quite my cup of tea, although I will revisit it someday. But I like this early jet age, man, when you still have the dogfights that you're used to in props. You have more speed, but you just have the forward-facing guns. You still have to get people into your guns, and you know, it's just a nostalgic era for me. I like these early jets, the pioneering age of jets. It was fantastic, and it is a joy to fly. And this plane is amazing. She has a lot to offer, very maneuverable, very decent in most other departments. And yeah, man, it's just something that I would highly recommend to you to use this this plane to get into the jet age, because this plane, well, man, you'll know what I mean when you fly her. It is absolutely worth your time, and you cannot go through this game without flying the F-80A-5 Shooting Star. She's just wonderful. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button, become part of this community. If you are already a subscriber, don't forget to like the video, do leave me a comment, and if you really feel like helping out today, make sure to share the video with your friends and let them know about the channel.